Good afternoon, everyone. I am Olivia Miller, Executive Director of the JSMA, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this artist talk with Vanessa German in conjunction with the exhibition Love, Desire, and Sorrow, artwork from the collections of Jordan D. Schnitzer and his family foundation. Before we get started, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that the University of Oregon is located on Kalapuya Ilihi, the traditional indigenous homeland of the Kalapuya people. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. Today, descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians of Oregon, and continue to make important contributions in their communities at UO and across the land we now refer to as Oregon. Unfortunately, Jordan Schnitzer is unable to join us today, but he did want to share a brief hello and to welcome you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jordan Schnitzer, and welcome to the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art. And I'm glad you're here to celebrate Vanessa German, my pal, okay, and the amazing artworks that she creates. From the first time I saw her work, I was captivated, as all of you are and will be, by the amazing way she tells stories to us. This Congolese history and the legacy of thousands of years of putting figures together and so forth. She just is masterful taking all this stuff and making it in these wonderful sculptures like the one I'm next to right now. You look at them and you're dazed by all the intricacies and you think, how does she do this? Where does it come from? How do you put all this stuff together? And that's the magic why she's as good as she is. But as wonderful an artist as she is, she's an incredible person. The performance art she's done, the theater, the videos, all the things that she does to help inspire people and lead them on a path of self-reflection. So thank you, Vanessa, for being part of our collection. Thank you for coming to Eugene. We're so proud of the museum. It has an incredible collection, and the staff there does a great job bringing not only students, but people from Eugene and school-age kids in, and I know they'll all be just totally swept away by your incredible artistry. Thanks, everyone.
All right, well, thank you again for being here, and it's now my pleasure to welcome the curator of Love, Desire, and Sorrow, Dr. Adriana Miramontes Olivas, curator of academic programs and Latin American and Caribbean art, and she will introduce our guest.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this artist talk. It is a pleasure to introduce you to Vanessa German. Vanessa has said, and I quote, "I believe in the power of art. I believe in the power of love. I do not distinguish between those two." Her words convey the value of what we do here at the museum and the university as we seek ways to create change within the art world, academia, and our communities. Through creativity and love for learning, we question and challenge our lived reality. As we continue to examine both past and present, Vanessa's sculptures and ideas act as an invitation to act in solidarity and demand respect for each other. In this journey for social justice and equality, Vanessa's art reminds us to consider our contributions to these values. I first encountered Vanessa's artwork at the McNay Art Museum in Pittsburgh, and I was captivated by its power. I felt confused, but also motivated to keep thinking about it. And her signature style is so distinct that I was able to recognize her work later in other collections, as I, by chance, also saw it at the Andy Warhol Museum, the Westmoreland Museum of American Art, and later at the Mattress Factory. And when I was thinking about this exhibition, it was a must-have because of the important questions it raises about, again, how we live our lives and how we live with each other. Vanessa German is a poet, a performance artist, and a sculptor. Her artworks have been exhibited, as I said, at the Andy Warhol Museum of Art, also at the National Gallery of Art, the National Mall in Washington, D.C., the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, the McNay Art Museum, the Carnegie Museum of Art, and many more. Her artworks have captivated audiences in Germany, Poland, and Italy. Vanessa has been the recipient of numerous awards, including the Don Tyson Prize from Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, the Heinz Award for the Arts, the Ronald H. Brown Leadership Award for Community Leadership from the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh, and the Jacob Lawrence Award from the American Academy of Arts and Letters for outstanding achievement in the visual arts, just to name a few. In the interest of time, I will briefly thank my colleagues at the JSMA for the ongoing collaborations that make today's events possible, and a special thanks to our Executive Director, Olivia Miller, for supporting the exhibition and Vanessa's visit to Eugene. After this talk, we invite you to join us in the gallery for a more intimate conversation and for looking at Vanessa's artwork in the exhibition, as well as other artists. My enormous gratitude goes to our partners whose support make this event possible. Vanessa's German Artist Talk is presented in partnership with the Jordan Schnitzer Family Foundation, and this program is generously supported by the Oregon Humanities Center Endowment for Public Outreach in the Arts, Sciences, and Humanities, the Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies Department at the UO, and the Department of Art at the university as well. I hope you join this talk, and I hope to see you later today to continue the conversations. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Vanessa.
Greetings, I'm Vanessa. How are you? Good. Yes? It's good to be here with you. Gracias. That's me when I was a little, there's a little hand and a little arrow on my face, and the hand is pointing up, and the arrow is pointing down. Do you notice that? Do you know the phrase, as above, so below? I didn't plan this. I think it's like a technical glitch, but I am abundantly aware that the universe is in great support of our dynamic presence at all times. I want to take a moment to just be here with you. And to look at you. I am aware of how precious your lives are. I'm aware that I'm up here giving an artist talk, and I have work in this museum. Some of you others have work in museums, galleries, you have work in studios. I am abundantly aware of how powerful artists are and how desperately the universe beseeches your creative heart and the mastery of the divine technology that is just you. I am abundantly aware that we live in a known world that has been cultivated through very limited imagination of human beings who do not recognize your power, beauty, grace, and divinity. I recognize that the power of the life force inside of you will make the future that we live in, where we can all move and expand powerfully and gently and tenderly into an existence that does not seek to accumulate death for difference. I recognize that this is the power that we are moving within, which is a creative power that is absolutely beyond language, and it belongs to each and every one of us. So I give this talk today in honor and support of the fire inside of your heart and the blessing that is your life and your spirit. These are 4 of my ancestors in a cotton field in Alabama in the early 20th century. That's me as a little girl. I grew up in Los Angeles, California in the 80s and 90s. And one of the forces that deeply impacted my life was the HIV and AIDS epidemic. I was shaped by the recognition of the deep preciousness of life by watching first gay men die after being cared for tenderly, generously, and lovingly by other queer people. My mother was the fiber artist Sandra German. She died in 2014. This is a quilt she made called Behold, We Are the Stuff of Stars. My mother raised myself and my 3 sisters and 1 brother, there were 5 of us, in Los Angeles, California, to be both artists and activists. My mother raised us to be creative and brave at the same time, without abundant tension, pressure, or conflict in our household, to be rewarded by external institutions, be they academic institutions or the state. My mother found that the very best way to raise her children was to raise us to know ourselves and to stay curious in a world that practiced separating us from our possibilities with brutality and violence and abundant hostile strategies. My mother said the very best way she could make us whole as human beings was to give us art and the opportunity to share our voices. This is part of my soul. Everything you see from this point forward, you should know that my ancestors are involved. I am existing in this universe in the simultaneity of time, and I am a self-taught artist who went to the university of my mother. Do I point this at a certain thing? This is the artwork that taught me who I am as an artist. This is called Power Figure to Keep Me Alive. It's in the Progressive collection of Progressive Insurance. And I'm sharing this image with you so that you can ground a couple ideas. One, that my practice is fundamentally a practice of spiritual justice. We talk a lot about social justice, but I don't know that we necessarily know what we mean anymore when we say that. So a practice of spiritual justice for me brings together the physical, the body, the process of the physical body, the spiritual body, the intellectual body in the social and historical context that the body lives in. So which means basically my studio practice is a practice of deep wholeness. I came to a point in my life where under the pressures of the structure as a very tender human being, a human being of tender heart and tender soul in a world where I did not see reflected back to me a lot of Black tenderness, I found it really difficult to survive in this country, and I decided to no longer continue that struggle at some point to make myself right with a world that we understand now has not had our best interest in mind. I gave myself a test to see if I could survive in America for 6 months by doing the opposite of what the world told me to do. The world was telling me to exhaust myself for very minimal financial wages towards procuring the basic needs of my life, food, shelter, for 6 months to save my own life. I let myself do whatever I wanted to do, which was what felt right. And I realized it took me a long time to figure out how to feel again. So every day I wouldn't move until I felt right. And I would walk my dog with a plastic bag, and I would pick up trash from the streets of my neighborhood. And when I say I pick up trash, I would pick up the things that you see here. Old weave hair. Like if there were fights on the street and girls pulled each other's hair out, I would pull the tracks up. I would pick up braids out of the street. That felt right to me. Bottle caps, keys, old broken pieces of jewelry, old dolls. And I would go down into my studio that was a moldy basement in Pittsburgh, and I would move those objects around into forms, into vertical structures that I allowed to feel right to me. I would listen to Toni Morrison read her own books at that time. I listened to Martin Luther King's voice over and over again until I was in a trance. Some people astral project in their dreams. I began to astral project through this creative process, through Toni Morrison's voice, through the deep love and the resonance of her voice for the mastery of cosmic language that she had. And when I would leave my body through intentionally, ritualistically repetitive tasks in my studio, I would go to space, as you know, space, dark with points of light. And when I was in space, I could see that I had the capacity to map out a particular universe for myself to exist within. And then when I would come back into my body, I would have progressed with these objects. I was at a summer arts festival in Pittsburgh, and a pre-colonial African history expert from Carnegie Mellon University saw one of my sculptures and said, "Oh, you're doing that work that they do in the Congo with the Nkisi with the nails." And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "You know, this with the nails and the object." And I said, "I'm just using those nails because they felt right to me. I picked them up rusty from the earth outside of my mother's studio." And they looked at me, paused for a long time, and they said, "You know, you should do some research because you're doing things in your work that have been done meaningfully with deep purpose for thousands of years." And that led me to the realization that through my body, I had access to the library of my soul. And I could access information in the library of my soul through the technology of my instincts. And I could also place intentional power and movement into that process for myself, which is a form of making medicine. Some of you know it as the work of being a shaman or being a medicine person of the earth and of the skies, of the earth and of the stars. I began to make objects as medicine for the world that I lived in. I went from making single discrete objects to making, I'm okay, to making entire communities of objects. I would always be asking the objects to do things. I would always be asking the objects to do what I experienced most needed to be done in the world, from single discrete objects to entire communities of objects. This was an army of power figures, and the word power figure came to me after talking to a pre-colonial African history expert about Congo and Kisi power figures. And when I found those, I felt like I found a language that I recognized. This is called I Come to Do Violence to the Lie. Dr. King would say you could kill liars every day of the week, but that doesn't kill the lie. How do you kill the lie that Palestinians are worthless? How do you kill the lie that trans people are inherently monstrous? You suffocate lies to death with the truth. You make the lie impossible in the face of the obvious and clear rightness of the yes, of the truth. This is my neighborhood in Homewood, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is the alleyway that they call the killing streets, the killing fields. I didn't know that until I saw the Rachel Maddow show that occurred during the NRA convention in Pittsburgh, where they walked her through this alleyway and discussed with her why Homewood was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America. It's because this alleyway that was behind my house. I didn't have enough room in my house to photograph the work, so I would bring it outside. And when I will bring the work outside into the sunlight so bright above, the work would do the work that needs to be done by calling in the sun of itself. And I would bring work outside and people would gather around, and I would have artist talks that were impossible to happen inside of institutions because they were artist talks that brought into the conversation the power and the possibility of the viewer's life and creativity right where they were, because people couldn't believe that I was making art in my neighborhood. People couldn't believe that I was making these objects in a community that had been strategically divested from, that this was rising up in my dining room. I was making these things, and I would watch people on the street outside of my house looking at these objects that I was making, and I could see that it caused them to reconsider the possibility and power of their own creativity right where they were. Because one of the things people would ask me over and over again was, "You did this here. You did this here in the hood?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did it right here." And I could see them consider their possibilities differently. So when I trace myself back to my ancestors in that field in Alabama in the early 20th century, gathered in communion with nature, with the force of their creative bodies and the darkness of their flesh, I see that I am in a long and transcendent lineage of creators who have been born to continue to nurture and awaken and to care for the spirit of creativity within the human community that has been so disabled by a structure of intentional separation. Might click through. Everything that I'm talking about is love and power. So one of the things that I started to do in my work was to, once I went outside with the work, I started to bring the power that I found of like making the work to other communities. So this is me traveling on the road, and I would invite people to make power figures with me, and I invite them to have first an internal, intimate experience considering what they have the capacity to bring to light in the world through this creative process. So I would remind people, I would ask people, what's the hardest thing you ever been through that you didn't think you could go through? And they would say, this lady said she was kidnapped. And I would always remind people, because everybody would say, I'm not an artist, I can't do that. And I would say, but you're courageous. And they would say, I'm not. And I say, what's the hardest thing? And they would say the hardest thing, and I said, well, you made it through that. And so now all that information is inside of you, so you're brave enough to make art. And then I would ask people, I would also ask people if you could make a work of art that had the power to do anything, what would you want it to do? So what I found was that this process of invoking the courage inside of people and pointing that courage towards their creativity became a technology of future making. It became an act of spiritual justice, where we are reconnecting the intellectual process, the process of the physical body into this both an intimate and really social, cultural act of creativity. Yes. I don't think it made it any easier. So this is working with young people who had never been asked before, if you could make a work of art that had the power to do anything, what would you want it to do? And I would also ask that question. I would give people space. And a lot of times, these are 7th grade girls, they would use their creative power through a process of adorning a power figure and working through the collection of ingredients in a room. They always wanted to bring more love to their lives or their people's lives. This is a Thich Nhat Hanh quote that I really love, because it basically is saying that the next great revolutionary leader will not be a single individual, but will be an entire community of people. So I began working with communities of objects and communities of people, really activating this space of spiritual justice through the guise of social justice, because I realized, you know, when people say America has a spiritual problem, that this is a spiritual problem here, what I understand that to mean is that people are separated from themselves and they're misidentifying their humanity. They're misidentifying their divinity. They're misidentifying their creativity, and a lot of times they're outsourcing that and seeking external validation to something that is most original. I'm going to go through some of these images really quickly because they're just to show you how these ideas have lived through separate bodies of work. I'm going to go through some bodies of work, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask any questions. If you have any questions, and then I'm going to show some more images, and we'll see what happens, really. This is a work of art called, it's an installation, was at the Mattress Factory in Pittsburgh. It's called Sometimes We Cannot Be With Our Bodies. In Trump's first administration, the first month of his administration, every week there were, I think, between 3 and 5 black trans women who were being murdered and then misidentified in the media, misnamed in the media. So I created this entire body of work to honor those lives, to grieve those lives, and to bring into the forefront the power and the beauty and the creativity that it takes to name your own existence as an act of radical, luminous resistance to a world that says you're nothing. This is where I really wanted to bring into all these places of power into my installation. So in this installation, there's a soundtrack playing, and you can just dance in the room, and you can weep in a room, and sometimes there's a drag queen who just comes out from a red curtain with a box of tissues. If you start crying in this space, we offered people the opportunity just to sit with somebody and have them like hold your hand and be with you, to really see if it was possible in a space of installation to deeply honor the truths of the people who came into that room, bringing ritual and release and love and relief through these institutional art spaces. I really wanted to see how loving it was possible for an institution to be, how courageous. What does it mean for an arts institution to be courageous? What does it mean to be ever expanding as the universe is ever expanding? As an institution, I'm always like pushing, how much am I able to love you in this space? Sometimes we cannot be with our bodies installed in another city. I would take this work to cities, ask the institution that I'm working with, can I work with the community of artists? And can I go into the community and do a residency? Because the work always has work to do. This is something that I fundamentally understand about my life and my existence, and the work that I'm creating is that it is a channel for more work and more power, and it wants to be in communion, in creative community with other people. So coming into this community, I said, what would you like this ritual to be? And we did a ritual around the Willie Brown lynching, which is called the largest race riot in American history. If you know the history of that, you know that it was not an actual race riot. And the people in the community determined the path that we would move from the art institution through the community on a ritual that I call the Blue Walk. We've done the Blue Walk around the country. I make all these garments for people. I dress them. I touch them tenderly. There is beautiful fragrance in the space. Yes, this is a space of ceremony. Yes, this is a space of ritual. Yes, this is a space that is not in full support of distance between, like, what is institution here? What is the art here? Who are we here? Do we have the luxury to guard our hearts in this space or not? So we're moving through these ideas of deep wholeness, of the simultaneity of time, of communion, creative union in community, these co-creative spaces. And I would take this idea even to the internet during the pandemic. I saw that there was some of my Asian friends were really being battered and brutalized in New York, and they would still have to sort of go to work and live their lives. And I think of myself as an artist, as a person who is moving in deep service. Like I want the art, I understand the work is always doing work. And so I would offer to people, you have to go to work and you're grieving the death of Michael Brown, you're grieving the death of George Floyd, and you still have to go be an accountant today. Let me make you a t-shirt so that perhaps we can invite more tenderness in for you. Megan Thee Stallion is shot, and other rappers mock her. They say that she deserved it. And so the work, doing work in communion, in creative union with community in the universe, power figure to protect Megan Thee Stallion, love poem for Lil' Kim. Always wanting to make work that is doing work. And I am imagining, if you have a power figure in your house, if you come to someone like me, you have an artist in your community who's making work on their front porch, and you need to protect your son, you need to protect your heart, you need your daughter's innocence to be protected, and you have an artist in your community, and you come, and they make an object in co-creation with you, spirit, and the universe. Where do you put that object in your house? Does anybody recognize what kind of gun this is? It's an AR-15. I had always known that my creative counterpart was the earth, and that the earth had given me all of the materials and all of the resources that I need to be an artist. And I came into relationship with rose quartz and the vibration of rose quartz as the divine feminine, the divine mother, the mother of all creativity in mineral form on the planet, being used as a connecting source, a technology of often in this culture, reconnection to tenderness, to nurturing, to a sustainable, substantial living experience of deep care and wholeness. Always asking what can be done? What can this work do? I began to make portraits of people who had been murdered by the police, because a lot of the people that I would witness on videos on social media who had been killed by the police were being killed while they were crying out for their mothers. And what I understand in my practice is that no cry for the mother goes unanswered. And so this is a portrait of Elijah McClain. This is the other portrait with the blue chalcedony tears, is a grief figure. And the way that I'm experiencing my work in proximity to other human beings is that even if you don't know what the work is about, even if you never read a title card and read the material list, what I understand is that because of the vast technology of spirit and our souls, that the work is doing the work that it needs to be done distinctly for every human being who comes in proximity to it. It's a skateboard I made for Tyree Nichols, who was also murdered by the police, crying out for his mother. This is a man who was executed. Does anybody know his name? Excuse me. In the summer of 2023, I invited people from around the world to send me one sentence, a love or prayer for themselves, their family, or their communities. People from around the world wrote me through social media. I transcribed every single sentence that people wrote me onto about 200 feet of blue ripstop, which I walked in a procession around the reflecting pool at the National Mall. I didn't just transcribe what people wrote me, I actually answered their prayers. If I wasn't an artist, I do not know that I would know how to love anyone. I don't know that I would have ever come to love myself. Then my front porch in Pittsburgh, didn't have enough room in the house to make sculptures, so I started to work on my front porch. The kids in my neighborhood asked if they could make art with me because they saw me making art. I told them no, because one of the kids came to me and said, "Miss Vanessa, my mother told me that the woman you live with isn't your sister or your cousin. Who is she?" And somebody else came to me and said, "Miss Vanessa, my grandmother told me that you don't go to church." And so I was like, uh-oh, I'm gonna be on the news if kids be up here on my porch. But kids would just jump my fence And they would pick up paint and they'd be like, oops, Miss Vanessa landed by this paintbrush. So kids started to make art in my front yard. I got crisis custody of a bunch of kids after a tragedy. Public housing let me use a house. We called it the art house. I sold a couple sculptures to a museum. I bought a house at the end of the block. We mosaicked the house in glass. Just people would come by and they would help. We made a bus stop. And I said, whenever the front door is open to this place, anybody can come in. We'll just make art because it feels good. This is after the Pulse nightclub shooting, when all the churches said you can't come here and have a memorial because what happened to y'all gay folks is what you deserved. And so I said, you can just come to the art house. We'll gather together. A couple hundred people came. I was really surprised. And I realized we need more spaces to be whole and to love one another. Lived around a lot of shootings, seen a lot of murders. It's horrible. Made these signs with a grant that I got from the Heinz Foundation to make sculptures. Then I told the Heinz Foundation that the sign was a sculpture and my entire neighborhood was the museum and they were on exhibit everywhere. This is the work that's in where we are right now. It's called 7 Beautiful Niggas All Struck in the Glory of an Appalachian Sunset. You'll see it at the museum. That's an Appalachian sunset. That's outside of my studio in the Blue Ridge Mountains. This is another Appalachian sunset. It's just gold. I feel like I'm having a hard time with this talk because I feel kind of exhausted. The feds arrested my friend midnight on Thursday. Ice cracked the skull on my friend's brother. There's a lot of white people who's been laughing at that, saying they like it and want more. And I still believe that it is possible for us to recognize each other and not to misidentify ourselves or one another. So what I'm going to do right now, because I kind of feel dishonest just looking at these slides, I'm going to make some art with you all here. Is that okay? I'm gonna put the mic down. And I'm going to put one chair here and another chair here. And how much time do I have, Olivia? Okay. So I just want to thank you for your patience and your grace. And I'm going to put 2 chairs right here. Olivia, would you do me a favor and bring that chair right here? Okay, so we're going to sit right here. And what I'm going to do is, because y'all know I'm a poet, so we're actually going to make, I think, some important work that's like beyond my ability to communicate the present moment through these images. So what I'm going to do, has anybody ever seen me do this before? Okay, so I'm just going to ask if anybody would like to come up in the seat. And we're going to make a work through your ingredients and my ingredients. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then I'm going to make a poem for you here, for us here, right now. And I just want to apologize also if anybody came here expecting something else. This is what we have. Is it okay? I don't think that should happen. I'll try to hold it. So I'm going to sit, and I just invite you at your own comfort level. Again, I just thank you because I feel kind of off. Just like to open your heart. I always want you to think, should you come up here? Because I don't want you to regret not doing it because you're afraid or something. So I think we might be able to have 2 people come, and you're coming first. Okay. What's your name? Candace. Hi, Candace. Take a seat. Do you have a friend here or anything? Do you want somebody to take your phone and record this for you? Because you can, but you don't have to. Okay. Hi, Candace. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Candace is pretty good. Friend, I apologize for this. Is there any way you have a mic stand anywhere? I'm going to ask you for a couple ingredients. Could you allow yourself to move into this space with willingness? The first thing I'm going to ask you for, listen to all it's okay what if you bring the podium, which looks heavy, is it on wheels? And then we'll do that. Yeah. Whatever is the best way. Thank you, James. So now that it's here, can you just try to find a position where maybe it's a little closer? Yeah. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you for this understanding. That I feel like this is good, and I'm grateful. Thank you for adapting. All right, Candace, so I'm going to ask you, listen first, you're going to get, I would offer to you to offer to this moment of social sculpture, of universal medicine. Yes, yes, yes. The ingredients we are asking you for are a name, a color, and a purpose. The name can be any name. It can be your name. It should be a name that feels right for you to offer into this stew of creativity and inspiration activated in this combustive moment of light. Yes, here we are. Also a color. It should be a color that feels right to say. Then a power. By dint of this moment happening, we can enact and make forth anything you want to happen. You could decide that this is the moment that world peace puts on its tennis shoes and comes towards us with haste. Yes. By dint of this moment happening, anything can happen. You decide. You should open your heart because that's the technology that we're operating within right now, the divine heart. A name, a color, and a power, please. Yes.
My children.
Honey.
That's not a name.
Is your kid's name my and children? Tell what the kids' names. You don't want to say their names?
Nell, Ephraim, and Cordelia.
Nell, Ephraim, and Cordelia. Okay, names. Nell, Ephraim, Cordelia. Color?
Orange.
Orange. Oh, gosh, yes. Ooh, okay, yes. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm ready. Go on.
An end to capitalism.
An end to capitalism. That's what you're watching right now, honey. It's happening all around you. Yes. Okay. All right. So we're asking now for what's on the opposite side of it, right? Okay. All right. Okay, I see. Thank you. Here we are. Yes, 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 yes. With the beautiful, illustrious Candace, whose heart and hands are open as a gift of creativity. Are you a potter? Do you make ceramics?
I have.
Yes. Oh, we are, yes, here through a vessel maker, through a powerful channel, a being of light and grace and courage. Here she is, orange for courage, they said, orange for brave, orange for the light, for the fire, for the passion, for the rightness of your own life, tapping at the soles of your feet, the soil of your soul, the light of your soul, rising up through the souls of your being, a crystalline presence and a power as in rose quartz, as in the piezoelectric qualities of quartz, as in being, a force of the mineral world, of the loving earth, of everything between the heaven and the soil beneath your feet, moving with the abundant and the jubilant face and the giggle and the power and the prowess and the cartwheel of Nail. Yes, rising up with the swirl, with the twirl, with the pirouette of joy, with the glory and the triumph and the victory of Ephraim. Yes, yes, yes. And Cordelia, dazzling, dancing, tap dancing, moving up and down the stairs, radiant beings of light, joyful, creative, wonderful sprites of vitality, here into an effervescent future of abundance that is not bred through the imagination obsessed with greed. Here for the end of greed, here for the laying down of men whose fathers felt defeated them, and now they gather the world in a chokehold as though to say, you are mine, everything is mine, healing to their hearts and repair to the transition and the threshold point of their soul and their spirit into the body. At the end of capitalism, we will all sigh and nap for 11 days straight. We will say it is a hard fight. We labored so long. We spilled our water. The water broke and a multiple birth world came forth. We had septuplets of abundance. There were octo-moms of jubilance. There were gardens where everything grew, sweet fruit, and communities where we learned to give one another enough space to move through tension and conflict without weapons, unless they were the Friday night dance parties where everybody got together to sweat and to shine. Here inside of Nell's dreams, here inside of every song that Ephraim sings, here inside of the gleam of Cordelia's teeth, when they lay their head back and open their full face to the bright and golden sunlight, here for the lives that we are making for them right now in this auditorium at the University of Oregon, last day of January 2026, the year of the fire horse, when Candace said, we will end capitalism. And I said, it's already happening, baby. And Candace and I, we looked each other in the eyes and we agreed. Thank you. It's okay. You here, I see. So, does somebody want to come? Who? Did somebody over here raise their hand? So I will hold space for you. I think. No, because you can come. Come on. You're coming too. And then we end with the human here. Come, sit here. What's your name?
Paul.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm okay too. Okay. Paul, you ready? Yeah? The same ingredients, okay? Here, give me this hand also, please. Okay, thanks. All right. Hold on. We're gonna do a prayer of protection, okay? Name a color and a power.
Daphne Mikkel,
Okay.
blue. To teach.
Yes. The name is Daphne Mikkel. Is this one name or two names? Daphne Mikkel, blue. Okay, right. Okay, thanks. Right, okay, right. Tawag. Okay, okay. What's the power again? To teach. Is there anything else? The power is to teach. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Free.
Say it again.
To be free.
To be free. Okay, that's good. Is there anything else you want to say before we begin? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So part of this is going to be in another language, but I'll translate, okay? Okay. Wea ya kawana hayana wea ya we natsie dua ya we ya tihamana ya we akahana we ya we oana ya we ya si. So there, what this is to say thank you for being a protector. Do you know what that means? Why that would happen? Why you would get that song or that prayer of being a protector? Do you know why you would have that? Okay. So they're showing me that your force of protection. Okay, right. Weata hana kieya. They say open your hands. Thanks. De uayanahakanawe nawe ana sipua yana seayanahakana wiana ye weya pianapa for Daphne. What is the second name? Mikkel for Daphne Mikkela. Oh, Anamu with the power of consciousness fall to earth, become mountains, dense and strong and true, body right and clear and full. Away in the power of all time and without edges of full and bright and clear love, full and bright and clear love, as the river that runs from above to below, this bright and clear, luminous turquoise blue, aquamarine into the bright and righteous lightning blue of yes it is, the yes it is, it is the yes of Daphne Mikkel, the yes of the soul, the yes of the flower, the yes of the fragile and springtime shaped petal of the heart, the sweetheart that beats and keeps and grooves and moves and pulses bright compassion into the world, through the building and out into the streets where there is sometimes asphalt, but we can't necessarily see it, but it's there. A river of turquoise blue. Here for all of the winged creatures among us, for all of the children who are born with flight on their tongues and eyes of light, golden bright, for the fire that blooms in the palms of your hands, Paul, for the light that falls from the sky and expands past, present, and future in the simultaneity of time, for the swirl and the whirl of the power that moves up through you, for the grace and for the softness, for the petal of the heart, of the soul, for all of the children born here and now with wings that they might bring in a new breath and a transference of freedom that is so infectious, more infectious than HIV, tuberculosis, and stupidity put together, more infectious than greed, more infectious than the idea that revenge will make you feel whole, more infectious than the idea that more will actually make you feel whole. Hear this bright freedom, so right and so true, so neon in the bones, it moves through each and every one of us, so profound. Here on these Oregon grounds, we rise to the Sunday light and say, for some reason I feel so right today. It was Paul's poem. It was Paul, that man from yesterday at the artist talk. It was Paul's poem. It was Paul's eyes. It was the name Daphne Miguel. It was all of it. It was all of it. And for some reason, I'm quaking, awakened, enlightened. There's something new inside of my eyes. I can't stop thinking about a bright blue child with butterfly wings on the tip of her tongue. Something free as never needing to explain oneself to anyone, a kind of freedom of will that makes the entire field of consciousness giggle and say, yes, I knew those humans down there on earth would make it right. One breath, one body, one soul, one brightness, one light at a time. Right here and right now, right here and right now, this profound happening of yes. We are dazzled and blessed by your presence. Thank you, Paul. You're welcome. Thank you. So let's say goodbye through you. Thank you for your patience. We will go after this to the gallery, and I can try one more time to have an official artist talk. Who are you?
My name
Say, I didn't ask you your name.
Okay.
I asked you who you are.
I'm a pigeon.
I'm a pigeon.
I have an ingredient for you.
She has an ingredient for me personally. Should I tell people or is it private? It's for words. You have an ingredient. Yeah. Oh, you are only going to offer me one ingredient today? You can choose because I believe in your power.
I'm going to tell a very small story, which is...
May I give you the microphone, please? No. I believe in myself.
I know. I believe in you as well.
Triumph.
Thank you. Okay, I'm an Iranian person. And I don't know if you heard about Iran and what happened in Iran in past few weeks. On January 7 and 8th, the regime in Iran shut down the internet and killed, massacred more than 20,000 persons. And the thing is, like, the internet was shut down. After that some people could find some way of connection. Constantly we received so many videos, and in one video there was like a place, like a parking lot that the government accumulated people's corpse in plastic, black plastic bags, and asked their family to open that one by one to find their dears. And in one video of one father like said that called his name, his son's name, Seper, and asked that, Seper, Baba, where are you? And I just want to ask you tell me something about justice.
About justice? When Iran is free, all of the children will skip through the streets wearing every single color that they want to wear. They will be able to make their own clothes and adorn them with rainbows and sparkles. If they want to, they can go to the moon. All of the children in Iran will be astronauts. All of the martyrs, everyone who fell and died, will have stars in the skies named after them. And astrophysicists the world over will wonder why the sky is so bright above Iran and why the fruit in the gardens grows so sweet. The tears, the grief, the rage, and the mourning of the people of Iran will have space worldwide. When you weep, no one will say to you, you don't have to cry. When you weep, the world will weep with you. Men of cruelty and suffering will fall to their knees and cover their faces and beg you not to look them in the eye. They will have to contend with the scourge of their hearts by beseeching the earth to open a hole for their bodies that allows only their heads to rise above the surface, to feel the movement of the tree roots, to feel the tightness of what it might have been like to be left in a bag, to have to contend with the weight and the wrath and the echo of the thunder of grief that their cruelty caused. They will be able to find no respite from justice calling their name throughout time. And should they have children, these men of wrath and suffering and greed, their children will be born free. Their children will be released from the actions of their fathers. For some reason, pediatricians who give birth, who help women labor forth into the world, the seed, the children of cruel men, will say, I felt an angel in my room. Something happened to me when I was doctoring these children into the world. They came in and there was a sweet smell in the room. They will look into these eyes of these children and they will see a future so abundant and so golden and so filled with gentleness and tenderness that they will fall to their knees and they will say, how can this be? And the choir of divinity from the sky will sing above all roads and bridges, all lands of Iran. The choir of divinity will say, you shall be released, my people, my loves, my dear ones, you shall be released, and women will rise. Women and girls will rise, and they will rename the roads of Iran. Every person, be it 20,000, 22,000, 30,000, will have a tree named after them. The man who cried out for his child will have an entire grove of pomegranate trees. When people eat the pomegranates from his trees, they will be cured of all sorts of strange, weird ailments. Cancer will cease to exist in Iran. For all of the angels that rise up and carry the air of that land will make forth the truth, thousands and thousands of years of deep, true prosperity. All the people of Iran, all of the stories of Iran will face the open sky and will sing a high song of light to all of their Palestinian neighbors and friends, to all of the girls in the hood and all of the homies from East LA, to all of the indigenous women with red hands on their face and all of the bones in the earth, from all of the names and the stories that we'll never know and were never told, all of the bones in the earth will clack and clap and thunder forth a radiant justice that, to be honest with you, it's quite beyond our imagination. Through these places and through the endings of so many lives, there will be an undescribable newness. May it visit you in your dreams. May it walk with you through these streets. May you know that you began something right here and now by sitting in this seat. Us here together in this eye contact with all these human hearts beating around us, encouraging, amplifying, and elevating a vision of justice that is coming awake and alive through every tear that you're crying right here and right now. There are women in Iran who are clutching their breasts and saying, I feel something. I don't know what it is, but I feel it. And I'm a little afraid to call it hope, but it's something right on the edge of brilliant. And it's coming for us right now. And it will be you in your song and your place and your voice and this power and this rightness and this here and this now and here for the power of your heart, for your tenderness, for all that has fallen before you, that your heart is still soft and open enough to ask a stranger in front of a microphone about justice. Everything that I have seen has nothing to do with me. I'm not telling you about justice. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just dictating for you what I have found in your eyes. Yes? Yes. Thank you so much for helping me do this artist talk today. I beg prayers from my soul to all the people of Iran and all of the people who are in connection, creativity, and communion across the planet. My people in the Congo, in Sierra Leone, in Sudan, in Palestine, in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, in Los Angeles. We're all singing the same song of justice that you have called forward through your tears, and we are grateful. We're grateful for your life and your power and your tenderness. I do feel that this is the reason I have come here, is to be here with you. Thank you so much. Thanks all. Thank you. I know know that time has moved beyond what we said it would be for this. I will go over to the museum, perhaps some of you will be there. If not, I ask you to take into your heart what our friend has said about justice. Tell me something about justice. Please tell yourself a new story about justice. Please make a vision of what justice can look like. Bring it up from your heart. Dare to imagine it, please. This is the gift that our friend has given us. Permission to imagine a justice that is beyond what any external force could tell us justice is. We are so grateful to everybody who came up here, who helped me through. Just thank you. Thank you.